Nah, it doesn't taste like much. Kind of tastes like sandpaper.
Sandpaper.
Think of sandpaper.
That's the
had
worst
liquid
kind of
form.
tea. What in the world?
No, it's not tea. It's hot cocoa.
Oh, it's cocoa, right?
Mhm.
That's the worst kind of cocoa.
Chocolate is naturally better. Until you add copious amounts of sugar.
There's a product out there that's actually called liquid sandpaper.
That's
I'm pretty sure it's for like stripping wallpaper off the walls.
okay. As long as it wasn't edible, I'm fine with it.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's not. Do not eat liquid sandpaper, people at home. It's not a beverage.
Is it the forbidden milkshake? Does it come in blue raspberry flavor?
This is a question that must be discovered. Let's see now. I'm gonna do a quick Google search for liquid sandpaper for cabinets. Oh, it's for like stripping the finish off a cabinet. It's even worse. Okay. Does it come in
But is it
flavors?
blue raz?
No, it looks like it's just one flavor.
Dang it. Well, what are you gonna do with your stimmy, Ryan?
No, this ain't Helldiver.
I'm fixing on taking Veronica out on the town. Maybe we could buy a nice townhouse and bed and breakfast it out to the youngsters that want to come on down and see the lights.
How much of a stimmy you getting?
I think that was the joke.
We talking 1912 stimmy or 2024?
It was that 2020 stimmy. That was one of those Andrew Russo videos.
Did you adjust that stimmy for inflation?
Oh, geez. So it's worth a McDonald's Big Mac.
No, I think that's the actual joke, right? Like, if you think you can buy a townhouse with a stimmy, you can't be with the times anymore. There's no way.
And then he comes in going like, I thought I'd like pay my rent. And they all look at him. He goes, oh, I was figuring out. And then he buying a bar and fixing it up and being the life of the town and for $1,000.
No, that was some Foley right there. Who's doing the ASMR? Is that the keto cocoa I hear?
That was
the sandpaper.
The liquid sandpaper. Phenomenal.
Well, all right. Welcome to the A for No, B for Yes podcast, where we go chapter by chapter through the Legend of Zelda, and well, this is the start of our Minish Cap season here, and it's looking real good. It's a fun game. I've never played it before. By the way, my name is Curse You, Bale. Legally got it changed last week, and I'm real excited for this season. On this episode, we got my co-host, Stefans and Senpai. Why don't you go and introduce yourselves?
My name is Ryan, and I'm a blacksmith's apprentice. I hit the hammer real good.
My name's Cameron, and I like to draw just pretty little trees in the background so that when you look at it, you just feel like you're there, you know?
You ever draw a hammer?
I draw stimmies.
Okay. What is happening?
Minish Cap. Minish Cap.
We in it.
Minish Cap. Guys, welcome to season 6.
Oh, wow.
I accidentally posted up that we ended season 6 when I meant to say we're starting season 6. So then I had to edit it and say we ended season 5. And then it was all good. But oh goodness, we are out of the vast open world of Hyrule, and now we're in the pixelated mini open world of Hyrule. It's not really that open, but you know what I mean. Or at least you will once we get further into the game. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited to talk about this one.
Fun game.
Fun game. You guys like the intro so far? Before we like really get into it, like what are your initial thoughts and feelings? Like how you guys doing?
For a 2004 game, I am shooketh. It is pretty darn good. I was expecting like Link to the Past kind of intro, but I guess when you have 10 more years to work with it, it's pretty good. I've noticed that there's a lot of mirrors between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in this game, like a lot of reused things that I guess we'll get into later. So I thought that was interesting.
One of the cool things. Oh, Cam, you know what? How about you share some thoughts first before I get into this? Because I'm gonna go for it once I get into it. You know how I do when I do it.
It wasn't unimpressive, but it wasn't impressive either. I mean, it was an intro. I actually think I liked A Link to the Past a little more, just because like there was some more intense stuff that happened immediately, and this kind of just felt like there was some undersight that happened immediately. But you know,
oof. All right. Okay. So 1 out of 2 dentists agree this toothpaste is something. Okay. All right. Well, I can't wait for you to expound on that. But let me jump us into this game real quick. I mean, I like it. This is my second time playing the game, but I was excited. There definitely is some interesting stuff right from the jump. There is a prologue. It's a little like stained glass mirror intro that very much resembles like the tradition that I think Wind Waker started, if I'm not mistaken, like having like a tapestry type, like here's some images and some quick backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And in this backstory, we learn that the world was on the verge of being swallowed by a shadow, which and the mirror in the stained glass is like you see like a moblin and an octorok like chasing some people. And then it says, at that time, the tiny Picori appeared from the sky, bringing the hero of men a sword and a golden light. And you see like a depiction of a Link from the past with this sword and a single triangle at the top of the window, which I thought was interesting. It wasn't the Triforce. It was like a mono force, like one of them. Didn't even say which one. So then it says, with wisdom and courage, the hero drove out the darkness, and you see Link again holding up the sword and a wooden shield. And what's interesting about this one is that Link's not wearing a cap and he has like long blonde hair. I was like, what is this Link? This is very confusing, and I've never seen this before.
it was a kind of Wind Wakery when you start without your actual clothes and you just see his blonde hair in a mess. It's like reminded me of that.
Yeah. So then it says, when the peace had been restored, the people enshrine the blade with care, and you see kind of a depiction of this blade stuck in the top of a treasure chest. And what I thought was interesting about this is that this game is actually a prequel to the Four Swords games. So I guess a little bit of a spoiler. This sword, uh, the box was never a part of another game. Like it's stabbed into the top of a treasure chest, and there's no actual story told about why that is the way that it did. Like what is in the box, we don't know. It says they sealed the sword with care. They didn't say what the sword was doing, sticking out of the top of a treasure chest. But we do learn a little bit about that. Just
up.
happenstance. But as far as the pre-story is concerned, there's nothing there. In fact, I remember seeing this a few times before I even noticed that it was in the treasure chest in the stained glass window. So just a weird detail to kind of to get a hold of. But with that little blurb, we are brought into a scene where the Princess Zelda is making her way to Master Smith's hut. And this is very much like the Princess Zelda outfit from Wind Waker or from I mean, if you Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, I'm pretty sure she wears an outfit like this as well. But it's like her princess outfit that has been set in a previous game. But once again, this isn't a sequel to any game. So they're kind of just doing a lot of, hey, you know these characters, like you know what you're looking at, like that's Princess Zelda, like you get it.
You remember this
So,
garb? Yeah, you remember this garb.
right. And that's not the only Wind Waker reference that is going to come up, but she appears. She comes over to Master Smith's, looking for none other than the main character. And I named mine Ryan for this playthrough. I don't know what you guys did with y'all's.
Oh, you know what Mayo named him?
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go and revive the legendary titular character, Groose.
Oh,
Okay, titular character of what title though? Because I don't think he is the titular character.
I mean,
my guy.
You know, we must have played different Skyward Swords because I don't know what you're talking about.
He was playing the Legend of Groose. Skyward Pompadour.
Yeah.
I always thought for sure it'd be Lunker.
Yeah, I tried. It couldn't fit it. It only fits 5.
Lunky.
Groose is 6 letters though. I'm so confused.
Oh, it is 6. I guess it would have fit Lunker. I don't know what I'm doing then. It only fits 6 then. I tried to do something else. I don't remember what it was, and it was like 8 letters, and I couldn't do it.
Because I went for my typical Cammy, and I still had 1 spot left, and that's 5.
Nice. All right, cool. So Master Smith, who we will later find out is Link's grandpa, and is like apparently the most renowned smith in all of Hyrule's history, tells Zelda that you are sleeping because you had a long night the night before helping him in the shop.
Respect.
So Master Smith apparently is just burning the candle at both ends. He's like, late night don't mean I'm not up and working the next day. But for Link, it's like, yeah, he needs more rest. He's still young. So you get the wake up call. You come on down, and Zelda's asking like, hey, like the Picori Festival's today. I would love it if you'd go with me. And Master Smith he has his concerns like, hey, why are you even out here alone? Shouldn't you like have somebody to guard you or whatever? So like, yeah, Link, go with her. By the way, if you guys could go to the castle, I actually have a delivery. This sword needs to be delivered to the castle. I don't even know if it says it here, but somewhere along the line, you will learn that sword that Master Smith has made every year for the Picori Festival, he makes a sword that is the reward for the winner of a sword fighting tournament at the festival.
I wonder if they're all called Smith Sword.
Maybe. I mean, it's like a brand, right?
Pretty much.
Can we also talk about the way? I mean, Link has some hops in this game. Can we talk about the way he just jumped out of bed and did a quadruple somerset just right out of the bed? And then
wakes
continues
up ready to go.
like we get into this, but when you're just doing stuff in the overworld, my man like flips like 6 times. Like you like walk into a hole and the dude's like, it's the craziest bizarre thing. Like this Link is just ready to go out of bed. I've never seen a Link. Usually they're like, what? My adventure starts today? Just give me like 5 more minutes.
That's true.
Nah, this is that Game Boy Advance Link.
This might also be the very first 2D or like handheld Link Zelda game that you can just dodge roll whenever you please.
Oh yeah. Well, you can like roll around kind of like, I mean, I know Ocarina of Time is infamous for, everybody like rolls across Hyrule Field, but you can do that in this game with this Link.
The 3D games had that, but not the 2D ones.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if any other 2D games that came out after this one just let you dodge roll all you want to.
I think, no. I think you're right. I don't know if they did. I was about to say Phantom Hourglass, but I remember that whole game was controlled by the stylus. So I think if you spun the stylus, he actually did like a spin attack, not a roll. So I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, so you are tasked with taking Zelda to the Picori Festival, which ends up being like a little Z-Link date, and then taking the sword up to Hyrule Castle, which those two things kind of happen in sequence. So we'll talk about one and then the other. So yeah, we go to the festival, and it is quite the party. How'd you guys feel about the festival? What'd you guys learn? What kind of cultural experience did you take in here?
I listened to the storyteller.
Nice.
I tried to interact with Beetle.
Beetle's a fruit seller in this one.
Dude, I got like 20 rupees from the treasure chest at my grandpa's. I basically stole my grandpa's money, and then I tried to buy stuff at the festival, but then I got really sad that you couldn't buy anything.
I just assumed that was my allowance for being an apprentice.
There was also 2 pots there. I was like, hey.
I actually left the pots alone this time. I don't
How
know
could
why.
you? Link is
it's a betrayal to everything Link stands for.
Pretty much. I can hear the yeah of disappointment.
Oh no.
I just figured that this early in the game, I mean, at most I was going to get a rupee or 2. I don't think I needed it, so
I thought it was
festival.
So hilarious though how like I call it just ADHD because Zelda she can't stay on one thing. She's like, "Oh my gosh, a storyteller." You go over there and she's like, "Oh, we have to listen to everything." "Oh my gosh, what's that?" and runs off. And goes, "Oh, this is so. Oh my gosh, what's that?" Again, she just can't keep her attention on one thing for more than all of like 4 seconds.
Yeah, so the impression that I get is that both Link and Zelda in this game are supposed to still be children of an undefined age. They don't ever say how old they are, but they do make references to Link being a child. And my guess is that
they also say that Zelda and Link are childhood friends. So if Link's still a child, she's still a child.
Right. So yeah. So my impression is that they are probably the only 2 kids that are their age, because otherwise there'd probably be other friends with them at the Picori Festival, and instead you see like toddlers hanging out. And then like some kids that are kind of maybe in between those toddlers and where you're at, who are like, I'm too old to believe in that little kid stuff. And then you have Zelda, whose father has always kind of reassured her that the Picori are real. So I guess that kind of brings me to the point of this whole festival, because if you listen to the storyteller or talk to the other elderly gentlemen, the gist is every year Hyrule throws their biggest festival of the year, which is this Picori Festival. The Picori are tiny little people who only come around once every 100 years, since they lent the sword and the light power that was mentioned at the beginning of the game. So this particular Picori Festival marks the 100th year since they were last seen. Interestingly enough, I mean, the kids all kind of have a similar theme going on when you talk to them, where they're like, "Oh yeah, like we have to be on our best behavior. The Picori only show themselves to good children. So if you only do bad things, like, you won't see them." I think that's what the storyteller tells them, right?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a Santa Claus type deal. But if you're a kid listening to this, Santa Claus is totally real. That's not what I'm trying to. Don't. Anyway.
They're so real.
So the Picori. In fact, I think what was really interesting is that there's one kid who's like, I saw a Picori last night. It had a red pointy hat and it was in my dad's shoe. And I'm gonna try to remember that, because we're not gonna see any Picori this episode, but it's probably one of the first things we're gonna do next episode. Spoiler. So we've decided to end this recap right after we shrink for the first time, but that's not going to happen for a few more story beats, so just hang with us. We will get to that. The kid is probably did see a Picori, but we'll discuss that later. So yeah, so Zelda finds this to all be very reaffirming. I mean, she does bounce around to everything. I think the idea is that she'd be leading Link to some of the key conversations, because she listens to the storyteller, she talks to the other elderly gentleman who explains more of the lore, and then she kind of bounces around until she gets to the games person. There's four vendors in town. There's Beetle who's selling fruit. There's a second vendor who's selling vegetables, oddly enough. There's the storyteller, and then there's this carny, right? And I don't even know what the game is, but I know that Zelda wins it.
I think it's like a raffle. Because he's like, oh, we have our winning number.
Gotcha. So Zelda wins, and she's given 3 choices. She's told to choose between a heart container, like a full-on heart container.
Full on.
What appears to be a large rupee, probably worth a lot, and a shield that looks exactly like the shield from the stained glass window at the beginning of the game.
Not just any shield, a teensy tiny shield.
A teensy tiny shield.
And as the guy says, an ugly teensy tiny shield.
Yeah. When Zelda goes to pick it, she almost tries to convince Zelda, like, hey, that's not the best option. You could probably, get something better. Both of these other choices are better choices. And she's like, no, I want the shield. And it turns out she could pick the shield because she thought that Link could use it. So she's being thoughtful and not selfish about her choice. So immediately we're getting like some of the insight to the friendship between Zelda and Link. And
could have used that heart container. I don't know.
I know, but you want 4 hearts or the ability to not take damage? You know what I mean? Like it's the whole thing. And she's, in her opinion, it looks perfect on you, or when you use it, she's like, oh, it matches you just great. And then there's a little comment in the text box after it teaches you what button to press, where it's like, it does seem a little embarrassing though, it's so small. It's like, okay. I just think it's funny that in the explanation, like the game text, not even a character's opinion, it's like, no, this is a fact about this item, it's embarrassing to use. It's like, all right,
you are a weenie.
Just so you know, you look dumb when you use that shield. It's like, thanks, game.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Link doesn't go to peer pressure.
If it looks dumb but it works, it ain't dumb. Game. Anyway. So yeah. The other thing that we learn is that there was in fact a sword fighting tournament that took place, and that a strange, mysterious figure wearing all black just swept the competition. Just came in, used some crazy sword fighting techniques, and just cleaned house. So that's cool. And that kind of leads us into the next section, where we're actually going to leave this Picori Festival and head up towards Hyrule Castle.
So you know what's something I learned here on the way?
Oh yeah, what'd you learn? What's up?
To Hyrule Castle is that, so you know the like little Hyrule Knights that are kind of wandering around, just kind of chilling in the garden and the field, and there's like, hey, what's up, man? They usually give you some helpful tidbit of information.
Yeah, in this game they're like tutorial info right now.
Yeah. So you would think that these guys would just be called Hyrule Knights, right? Because we're in Hyrule and they're knights. No. They're called the vassals.
Huzzah.
And they are the vassals that serve the king of Hyrule.
Huh.
So interesting tidbit I learned. I kind of went through the wiki. Oh yeah, okay. It's just they're in the wiki, yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. Interesting terminology.
All right. I didn't know that.
And apparently the ones with blue stripes guard Hyrule Castle, while the ones with green stripes patrol Hyrule Town. Is another interesting tidbit.
Okay.
Not sure why.
There's I think they will play some parts later on. Right now, I mean, they're just doing their job, you know.
Just chilling.
They're there.
Yeah, they're just chilling. So yeah, we head up towards the castle. I think we get stopped real quick by a business scrub.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know was a business scrub right off the get-go. I just thought like it was a Deku I had to kill.
Freaking attacks Zelda.
Right? She gets hit by a Deku nut. And she gets all upset, and then we have to go and like use our shield to bop this guy right back in the face with his own Deku Nut. And then he starts apologizing, and he's like, oh man, like I came up here to set up shop. I heard there was a festival, so I wanted to hawk my wares, which is, for sure intentional dialogue, right? Like that's like a pun because he's spitting. And he's like, but I always forget I spit out Deku Nuts when I talk. I'm like,
That's
no, you
funny.
don't.
That's so funny. Yeah, so you want to take a look at my wares? Oh, sorry, dear. Oh, don't run. Ah, man, another one.
But the thing is, when you talk to him, he doesn't attack at all.
Right.
Like when he's spitting, there's no dialogue happening. So I think he's just making stuff.
He just needed to get beat up a little bit, and he stopped spitting.
But instead of like the old school Deku business scrubs who would actually try to sell us something after we defeated them or hit them once, this guy just straight up is like, I'm out. This isn't the right place for me.
He says he's gonna go back to his cave.
Yeah. So he pieces out, and then Zelda's like, oh, I actually kind of feel bad for him, but that nut did hurt.
And I love when Zelda, when she gets hit by it first time, she's like, oh, darn, that hurt. If only there's some way to reflect the Deku Seeds back at him. And I'm like, really, game? Really? Like, am I 5?
This is a real brain scratcher, this one.
This is one for the, I mean, if you've never played another Zelda game, I mean, I don't know how you would have figured this one out.
Maybe not.
Should I use the only thing available to me?
One item.
I don't know. I flipped out of bed. Maybe I can use that.
It's Mario on.
You'd be fun. You haven't played the game before, and I don't think Cam remembers. But that whole flipping out of bed thing, I feel like it's foreshadowing for something that happens later in the game, and I can't wait till we get there because that's gonna be a fun time. Well, yeah, I don't want to go too much into it, but I'm just gonna say I'm excited.
I definitely don't remember. I know he flips off everything in this game, though.
Yes, that's a thing. He's very acrobatic in this one. A couple different times he gained some mobility that's very fun to use. Anywho, so we get past this business scrub and we can actually make our way up to Hyrule Castle. Bunch more knights. We also meet this dude who is the master of ceremonies, Portho. Or he's like the minister, right?
Minister Portho.
He looks a little like Egad from Luigi's Mansion series. Just Zelda-fied, Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's go through this, and then there'll be a few things I want to add at the end. So try to remind me if you can, once we're through our game today, that there's like a couple of Easter eggs. Anyway, so we meet up with Portho. Zelda basically says, "Oh, I need to go inside and get ready for the festival or for the blade ceremony." So she recommends that you actually talk to Portho, who kind of explains more of what's going on. Shares that the Picori blade seals much evil inside the chest. So they bring out this treasure chest that's got the Picori blade sticking out of it. And that the winner of the tourney is rewarded with being able to touch the blade, which is such a weird reward.
It is.
That's not like, why would you even do that? Like just of all things, like you're just gonna go up and just touch it.
Yeah, what's gonna stop them from just taking the sword out?
Right. If it's sealing the evil, like, is it just like you get to see it up close? Like that would be one thing. But
they could trip and then pull the sword out accidentally, and now you just got evil on the loose.
Right? It's all bad. And so this year the winner was Vati. Now, this game is a prequel that was made, like I said, is a prequel to the Four Swords series, because the Four Swords series were already out at this time, like Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures. I've never played Four Swords Adventures. I know that Anthony did have it. Um, so I don't know if you remember Vati from that game much. But from what I understand, they made him a much different character in that game. So I wouldn't like base a whole lot off of that. Like I wouldn't base your understanding of this character off of that too much. Because I think this is when he was like the real thing.
So Vati in the terrible game that is Four Swords, from what I remember, was a giant bat demon, and that is all I remember. And the only thing I remember from the like actual intro of that game is that he's just this like evil demon guy and has no memories of his life as a Minish.
Huh. Okay.
And that's all I remember. He's an
Gotcha.
evil bad demon.
Okay.
What I do remember was it was a terrible game.
All right. Sounds good. Makes me feel better about not trying to cover it for the podcast. All right. So Vati approaches. He says that chest probably has what I'm seeking.
See, now this is where the undersight I was talking about comes in. So like this guy dressed in black comes into the sword competition, absolutely sweeps it, and they don't run a background check. They don't try to figure out what this guy is. They don't try to figure out where he's from. They don't try to figure out any of his intentions to do anything. They're just like, yeah, hey guy no one's ever met before, why don't you come on over to our sacred blade that's sealing the evil and touch it? Yeah, come on. We don't know you. You get over here
So,
this whole game could have been avoided if they would have just done a background check.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, they got some archaic systems in place. They're saying, hey, we're going to run a festival every year. Anybody's allowed to compete. And if they win, we have a ceremony that anyone's allowed to participate in.
And that's why this happened.
Yeah. You can't be loosey-goosey with those things. That's why you got to register for tournaments in real life. Yeah, so he makes it pretty clear what his intentions are. He's going to open that box, and everyone's like, no! So the guards kind of get in the way, but they all get blasted by magic because this dude happens to also be a sorcerer. And then he basically shoots magic straight through the soldiers. It like just knocks the blade right off the chest, and the chest breaks open and stuff starts flying out, and enemies start popping off in different directions. And in the background of this, Zelda has reappeared from the doorway and is like guarded by a yellow flashing sphere kind of around her.
Yeah.
And so Vati takes note of this. I mean, he basically like makes this comment like, oh, the light power like still flows in the bloodline of the royal family, I see. And then he's like, I can't have you get in my way, and says, to stone with you, and then prepares this spell. Meanwhile, Link tries to get in front of her to protect her with his teeny tiny shield, but gets embarrassingly swept out of the way by this spell as it goes straight through and hits Zelda, turning her to stone.
No.
Yeah, so we have a statue of Zelda now. And so Vati goes up to the chest unhindered, and it's empty. There's nothing left in the chest. So he decides that he can still search for what he's looking for. And anyone else who tries to get in his way will suffer the same fate as Zelda, and he just kind of leaves. So we are unconscious. We wake up later, inside the castle, and one of the I don't even know, the housekeeping staff is there. Maybe it's a nurse, I'm not sure.
Housekeeping.
Who notices us waking up and is like, oh, like you're awake, that's great. Like they're discussing whatever in the next room over. So you go over, and it's the throne room. They keep their infirmary like right next to the throne room. And you get this little speech by the king, who, well, it's not even a speech. Like Link, the king is talking about what they need to do. Like now that this crazy event has happened, asks Master Smith what he knows about the Picori, And Master Smith doesn't know much aside from what the legends say. And the king's like, that's not surprising. The truth of the Minish has been like kept secret by the royal family. By the way, the king, when he starts talking, you hear like the hey from the King of Red Lions in Wind Waker. So it's just another Wind Waker reference. I mean, he even dresses like the king from Wind Waker. Like they just reused that style in pixel form.
Yeah.
And so the king is convinced that the Picori will know how to repair the Picori blade. But problem being that only a child will be able to find the Picori. They only reveal themselves to children. So it's actually not like a magical you have to be pure of heart or you have to be a good kid. It's just the Picori won't show themselves to an adult. I don't know what their basis is for that. I don't know what if there's like any other cultural background for the Picori ever given for that. It's funny because like I remember last episode I kind of mentioned that I had watched the Secret World of Arietti. In all of those books and stories of the borrowers, it's always like the kids who discover the borrowers first. And I feel like maybe that was just based off of that idea of like they're not really like they know adults probably aren't safe, but kids are curious, but also innocently curious. So like it's a different story revealing yourself to a child. So maybe that's part of the problem. I don't know. But either way, they can't send a soldier to do this job. They have to send a kid. And lo and behold, they have a Smith's apprentice kid who just happens to be there and is willing to go help out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we are tasked with going over to the Minish Woods to try and find the Picori to ask them to repair the blades so that they can, seal it back up. They didn't say anything about any of the things that came out of the chest going back into the chest, but in the meantime, they just want the blade repaired. So that's where we head. We go searching for the Deepwood Shrine that was in ancient times a meeting place for humans or Hylians, I suppose, and the Minish. And the Picori specifically is what they tell us because the Minish apparently is an archaic term. We'll learn that soon.
Even though the name of the forest is Minish Woods, they don't know the Picori are named Minish.
Right. So they send us to the Deepwood Shrine to try to find the Picori.
Now I just got to put a little highlight here before we get to that part. So I was doing some exploring, right? Because this is kind of where they kind of open it up to like open world. I guess mini open world. And I was
it's
doing
pretty
some
linear
exploring.
still.
Yeah,
they will open it up more as we go, but for now, they want us to go very specifically where we're supposed to.
And like I was walking, right, just as I do, doing some rolls here and there, and I came across like a construction site, and then I was like, no, they didn't. Oh, come on, they did though. They really did.
They did.
So
they straight up put Muto right in the game.
They got Brent, they got Bremor, they got Mac, and they got Doyle, and they got Muto. Now, I think I like have them pulled up, so like a lot of them are just kind of nonsense, but Bremer and Doyle are literally in Majora's Mask. Like that's their Majora's Mask name as well for the construction site in Clocktown, and I just thought it was hilarious.
Nice.
And Muto is in Majora's Mask, obviously, but yeah, I was just like, really, you got all these dudes here. It's just a fun little callback.
Funny that they were like, oh yeah, Vati came through and really wrecked the place, so we're trying to fix up the town. And that must have happened while we were unconscious because he just strolled up and went for the blade, and we had just left the festival and there was no damage. So he's like, oh, at least I can go search for what I want, and then just, I guess, destroyed Castletown. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he was still probably a little frustrated, so,
I mean, when in Rome,
got to vent a little bit.
So then the next thing I noticed when I was walking, right? I mean, obviously there's Lon Lon Ranch, and I got to Lon Lon Ranch, and then I started walking around the field around Lon Lon Ranch, and I'm like, are there ducks in the ground? Oh, wait, no, these aren't ducks. I'm sorry. These are ninja ducks. I'm so sorry. I'm mistaken. These are ninja mole ducks in the ground. Oh, wait, no. There's not just one ninja mole duck. No, there's 6 of them in the ground. There's 6 ninja mole ducks in the ground. What game is this that has 6 ninja mole ducks in the ground as an enemy?
It's like something out of Despicable Me. It looks like a stack of minions when they pop out of the ground. I'm sorry, but like,
It's
what?
ridiculous.
Did you ever look up what the name of those things actually were?
They're acro bandits.
Acro Bandits. Yeah, all right. So,
Got him.
Nah, they're not acro bandits. They're ninja mole ducks. Okay, that's what I'm calling them.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If you
Ninja
look them
mole
up,
duck minions.
basically is exactly what you're saying. It's oh goodness.
Yeah, continue. That was just 2 of the things that when I was exploring the overworld that kind of stuck out to me. Like, what is this? Why? Although I didn't actually find a way into Lon Lon Ranch yet. I don't know if you can. I was hoping to get in.
It's later. It's a
Mm.
later thing. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that this episode because I don't think you can explore it in any meaningful way right now. But yeah, the fact that there is a Lon Lon Ranch is kind of cool, though. I did appreciate that. And then pretty close after that, we get straight into the Minish Woods. So it's not a very far distance to travel. I mean, luckily we were given a map as well, so we knew kind of which way to go. But it's not a far walk. You get into the Minish Woods. You learn pretty quickly that Link can't swim because there's a pool right in front of a heart piece, and if you go for it, you'll just fall into the water and have a moment and respawn back on the shore.
He can do 4 somersaults, but he can't swim.
Yeah, and we get a few more enemy time. I mean, out on the fields, there were some like little Octorok bros that we were able to take out. But there are some in these woods as well. But in the woods, you'll also find choo-choos. And I think there was maybe one other enemy type, but I can't remember now what it was.
There were some crows.
Maybe that was it.
Crows are always annoying.
Yeah.
I didn't run into no crows.
I don't remember any crows either. You said that, and I was like, oh, yeah, maybe. But I didn't fight any of those.
They were on the way, I think, they were in the field.
Okay. So you go through this little forest path, maybe like 6 or 7 little screens that you cut across, right? Before you kind of come up to a stopping point. And when you hit this trigger of getting to a dead end, or at least that's what it seems, you almost immediately get a cutscene where there is a green bird-headed hat calling for help, who's getting attacked by a couple of Octorok things. I don't know what the mini Octoroks are called. I mean, maybe that's just it. They're just Octoroks in this game.
They're just Octoroks. They were playing pickle in the middle with them.
Yeah, they were just bullying him all around.
He didn't really seem to be getting hurt by them. It was more like an inconvenience.
Yeah.
He's just like, and turns around. Stop it. Turns around. Guys, come on.
Yeah. It's a very durable material this hat is made of.
Yeah, Kevlar.
So you got to backtrack a little bit. Backtracking. Don't you just hate it? But it's like barely anything. It's like 20 seconds. It's fine. And you help this hat who is assures you he didn't actually need the help after you help him, but thanks you anyway, and then decides that if you are trying to break a curse from Vati, lucky coincidence, he's also trying to break a curse that was caused by Vati, and they could probably you probably team up and break both curses at the same time, and that'd be great. So he decides he's going to be your travel companion, and he introduces himself. His name is Eslo. Problem with Eslo is he can't actually walk anywhere.
So slow.
So you try to walk away, and then he gets all mad. And he's like, "Can't you see I don't have legs? I can't move that fast. What's going on?" And then I tested him, and I just moved like a little bit, and then waited for him to catch up.
Me
And he doesn't
too.
move at all.
He doesn't move. He doesn't move until he gets mad that you're moving too fast. Then he moves to you.
Right. Which is kind of funny. After you frustrate him a few times, he decides he's just gonna just accost you and jump on your head. And then basically say, "Yeah, this works. There's no way you can walk away too fast now. We'll just be stuck together like this."
Says it's surprisingly comfy up here. I was like, oh, okay.
All right, sure. I was having a bad hair day anyway, so this kind of works out for me too.
Win-win.
Power of Garnier.
Garnier Eslo Fructis.
I'm just assuming that's what Link, washes his head with.
All right. So you work with Eslo, or at least that's the idea. Walk a few more steps down, and actually, I think he shares more Picori lore with you along this way. So he probably shares it with you before you even start walking, but I'll just kind of explain all in a second. You walk down till you find a tree stump. And Eslo shares with you a bunch of stuff. He's like, "This looks like a regular tree stump, right?" "Nope, this is a portal that humans used to use to get to the Minish." And then he explains that you know them as Picori because that's what all the Picori Festival, everybody in town calls them Picori. But they refer to themselves as the Minish, and it's odd that only these woods have kept that name, but nobody knows that it's called the Minish Woods because the Minish are here. It's like, so if we just keep going through, we'll eventually get to the Deepwood Shrine. We'll get to the Picori or Minish village, but first we have to shrink. So if you step up on this stump and BT dubs, there's portals like this all over the place. You just didn't know about them. But what we're going to do is we're going to step up on this. You're going to press a button and we're going to shrink right down to Minish size. And that's how we're going to find them. And so you do. You jump up on the thing, you do a little magical flipperoo, you go down, you bounce off of some mushrooms, and suddenly you are teensy tiny. And so Eslo gives you a warning about how, even a puddle at normal size is like a giant lake or whatever when you're this small. So you got to be extremely careful. Everything's dangerous. But otherwise, we have, for the first time in Zelda history, shrunk down to the size of a Minish.
The size of a thumb, they were called by somebody else somewhere.
Yeah. I saw him in my dad's shoe. It's funny because there's a shoemaker in the game. So I'm wondering if he's the shoemaker's son and his dad's shoe could have been any one of the shoes he was working on. But
the Minish shoe.
Again, story for later. But yeah, this is where we've elected to stop. So if you've made it to the village that Eslo referred to, you will have seen more, but we're kind of leaving it there. I feel like a lot of story happens in like the next little bit, so we're gonna kind of like do this, lead up and then like dungeon zone, lead up dungeon zone, like that kind of pattern. We're not gonna just streamline dungeon after dungeon after dungeon, because I think we would get through the game in like 5 episodes if we did it like that. And to be honest, I feel like there's more than that to talk about with this game. It actually gets pretty complicated once you get it going.
I think it was before we even rescued the hat. Did you guys find the one heart piece that there was to find here?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
Yeah, there was a heart piece.
Up at the
I
top,
saw the one
right?
by the water, but I didn't try to actually explore to get it.
I thought it was like around that dead end we found.
Oh, it could have been. It was somewhere over there.
Yeah, maybe I did find that then. Now that you say that, I don't know.
It was kind of just chilling there. It wasn't even hidden or anything. I'm just like, oh, free heart piece?
You just walk into it, right? It's just on the ground. Yeah, I probably did get it done. Cool. A couple other Easter eggs, I guess. Well, one of them I don't even know if I want to share yet, but I'll just mention that there was a mom and a child with like red puffy hair who were like, "We traveled a long way to come here to see the Picori Festival." and they're dressed in like this weird blue garb. They are
Yeah.
part of an entire like society that we haven't seen yet. So there actually is more than just Castletown in this game, and we will get kind of the background on those two characters. That I guess that's all I'll say is that there's more to them than just they've come a long way, because that actually ends up being a really interesting part of the game. But for now, I'll just say expect more from them. And then the little kid from Wind Waker with the snot hanging out of his nose
Ugh,
made an
I saw
appearance.
him.
And I didn't mention that. He said he's been really good all year and he can't wait to see the the Picori.
Yeah, clean that snot
So
out
you
of your
see-
face. You might get the chance.
I know. He wants to play with them. I'm like, bro, they would be terrified of that snot hanging from your nose. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, if I thought it was bad in Wind Waker when like you lived on my hometown and I avoided you like the plague, like there ain't no way someone who's small enough to drown in that thing is gonna get anywhere near you.
That's the doom drop.
It's the doom drop. You gotta wipe your nose, man. It's been 3 years.
Oh no. Another thing I noticed was when I was walking down to the Minish Woods, there was just a Goron who was just very, very displeased with a wall. And he was just punching that wall nonstop. He was very angry. Like someone stole his lunch money and he was just taking it out on that rock wall.
Yeah.
You couldn't even talk to him because I couldn't get over to him because there was rocks in the way. But yeah, he was not happy.
I think I ran right past this dude without even seeing him this time. I mean, I knew he was there because I, played the game. But yeah, there's the construction workers that we run into, and then there's Goron construction. And Goron construction is a different kind of construction. They're mostly just trying to clear some paths, but
Oh, so
More
they're,
like
they're
demolition.
construction workers. I just thought he was angry.
nah, he's hitting that wall with a purpose. He's just not making a whole lot of headway. I'm sure you get to talk to him later, and he'll explain what he's up to. But yeah, for now, the game's we're on a little bit of a railroad track right now. We're still in the intro. I mean, next week when we get back into it, we're still gonna have some like intro material to get through before we're really kind of released into the whole of Hyrule here. So yeah, I'm cool with it. I think this is actually a pretty good stopping point. I think there's a lot of like Picori background and kind of seeing these different characters pop up. Like Eslo's just straight up an anomaly, but the game is called the Minish Cap. So I mean, we found a cap that knows how to turn us Minish size. So good chance this is like a Twilight Princess naming convention where our helper is the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
He just doesn't refer to himself as the Minish Cap. So, dude's very squawky. Why are you sending me things? What is happening right now?
So I just found in the Minish Cap manual, it gives a description of Eslo, and it says a mysterious creature that Link meets during his adventure. He chatters away noisily at Link. He can be quite fussy, but he does seem to know what he's talking about. And I just thought it was hilarious.
Gotcha. Yeah, he do seem to be knowing what he's talking about.
No one likes
he
the
is
guy,
fussy.
but you can't deny that he actually knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, precisely. So that's our episode 1, guys. How are you guys feeling about this adventure? Any other big takeaways? I mean, I know that the Vati thing kind of annoyed you, Cam. Was there anything else that kind of stuck out, or was it just that mainly?
I mean, it was just that mainly, but I mean, I like the layout of the Minish Woods. I like the foggy look to it when you go in it. It makes it seem kind of mysterious and ancient and spoopy.
I will say that the pixel art in this one is pretty good.
It is.
I mean, you can tell it's Game Boy Advance, based on the way that it looks. I mean, Trying to think of a good comparison. I mean, if you put it up against, say, like A Link to the Past, it definitely looks like a different era of pixel art.
If you put it up against a Pokemon game of the same generation, it looks so much better.
Yeah.
Like, I think Gold and Silver had just come out, or maybe Ruby and Sapphire, and those did
Game
not look
Boy
anything
Advance would
like
be Ruby
this.
and Sapphire.
Yeah, and those didn't look anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing about this game is like the character model is kind of, to me, it feels bigger. Like it feels like they gave Link more detail, and so he had to take up more space on the screen. So like you don't see as much ground as you would in a Pokemon game, and you have a bigger character who's more animated and more active. Um, that scale, I think, lends itself really well to this game, because you don't really need to see entire vast fields at once or anything. I mean, it's a top-down Zelda, but that was something I had to get used to the first time I was playing it. I was like, this is like a weirdly big character model for what I'm expecting. Because I think the same deal with Link to the Past, like you had a smaller character on a bigger screen. Um, but for this one, it kind of just follows Link's immediate area, and it works out really well once you get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works out really well, especially on the way I'm playing it, because, I'm playing it off that great system, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. So I got that crisp,
How how does like the
4K.
L and R buttons work on that guy?
I have LNR buttons on it. Like on the
Oh, all right.
emulator, yeah.
You got like a backbone for that joint or something, or
No, just holding it.
all right.
It looks pretty good on my 2DS screen, I'll say.
Nice. I have it on my 3DS, but I'm playing it on the Wii U so I can stream it. So, if anyone wants to follow along with the gameplay, I mean, I'll be playing this like probably every other Tuesday because I don't think we're going to. I mean, if I can't finish it in one Tuesday, I'll play it on the other Tuesdays as well. But I think most of our episodes I'm going to be able to finish in one Tuesday.
Hey, you start streaming on something that's not meta, and maybe I'll watch.
Could be happening one day. I got to figure out if Knoxbot can
YouTube.
handle not meta. Because if I can get on the tubes, I would like to get on the tubes.
Yeah.
I just don't know what to expect with YouTube. It's a lot. But I've heard it's really good. So I think it might be worth trying anyway. But cool. Are you guys good otherwise? Or Anthony, how you feeling? I mean, it's your first time playing the game.
Yeah, it's definitely, aside from the Vati thing, it's been pretty whimsical. It's like a, whisked away adventure. You're kind of just in a little carnival festival, and then, oh my God, this crazy stuff happens and monsters release, and then you go to the Minish Woods, and it's super whimsical. And it's just kind of like not really ominous yet. Like nothing super evil's happening. Like Vati's not some like crazy demon who's like Ganondorf-esque. Like he's just some swordsman guy so far to what I know. So like
I mean, he
the
did turn
ominicity.
a child Zelda into stone.
Yeah, I mean,
And what about all that fog in the woods, man? Ooh.
nah, it was more fantasy fog, like kind of like light. I don't know. The whole game is giving me like a fanfare, like folk kind of vibe, not really necessarily scary yet. That might be subject to change.
You know how when you have the meeting with the king and he's like, "Oh yeah, they only like show themselves to children and yada yada." Zelda in stone form is just to the right of the throne. They moved her inside and set her up like a statue. And if you go and investigate, like if you go up and press A, whatever, like look at the statue, it talks about how even in stone form, her eyes like have so much life in them. You have to go help, like you have to save her, basically. I was like, yo,
Oh wow. Deep.
What is this? Is she conscious of what's happening? Oh no.
Not a time to think.
It's pretty deep.
So, yeah. I remember when I was listening to the Book of Medora podcast, and they were like, Zelda died on screen. Like, just right in front of us. Just got straight up turned to stone. I was like, oof. I mean, I guess that might have happened.
Petrified.
I mean, I just thought of it like the whole Dabura thing in Dragon Ball. Like, you kill the caster and she's free kind of situation.
Oh, I was thinking like Pokemon, the first movie, when Ash gets turned to stone, even though in like the Japanese version, he straight up got murked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they changed it to turning to stone because it was too much for like American audiences. So instead of him dying and being brought back to life with Pokemon tears, he got turned to stone and then unpetrified with Pokemon tears.
So still like the same thing. Being turned to stone is like you're dying.
Yeah, it's
all your organs are stone now.
It's like, I know, but as a kid, it's like it becomes masked by like this magic status effect, basically, instead. Even though you're right, but you don't think about it when you're little.
I still think
you sadness and you get sad.
Still think I thought Ash died.
Man. I know this is a side tangent,
get past the Spencer somehow, okay?
Get rid of the cigarette. Get rid of the cigarette.
It's crazy that Ash got turned to stone and became the Pokemon World League champion in the same year. Isn't that crazy?
Get out of here.
He was still 10, baby.
How many leagues did they host when he was still 10? Yes, the answer is yes.
What they don't tell you is in the Pokemon universe, years are about 4,000 days.
All right, guys. Well, cool. You good if I wrap this episode up?
Put a bow on.
Now that we're completely derailed by Pokemon talk. All right. Thank you all for listening. This has been our first episode of Season 6 of the A for No, B for Yes podcast. We appreciate you being here and listening. If you want, you can go to anywhere you listen to this podcast and probably give us some kind of rating if you like it. If you don't like it, you could still technically do that, but it wouldn't be as helpful or as nice. So, do you, I guess. We will catch you next time in a few weeks on A for No, B for Yes.
Bye.
Did you get all that? Did you take all that out on the town with your step?